violence against targets in the homeland.
And in the latest developments in the Iran-Israel conflict, Israel say that they have struck Iranian command headquarters and facilities and Fordo access routes. And then the latest news I was seeing this morning is speculation about the Strait of Hormuz potentially being closed by Iran, which would impact oil prices. Tons of the oil that we rely on that makes the U.S. markets goes through this narrow waterway that Iran could seal off quite easily. And if we wanted to stop them, that would bring us into greater conflict. So I am hoping, of course, that doesn't happen. But I believe Iran's parliament has given the go-ahead to do that. And now I guess it is with the supreme leader to make that decision. So we could be dealing with some pain at the pump as a result of this action.
Which is, I think, the more likely kind of Iranian response. Now, of course, I could be proven wrong any second. Maybe they will just fire missiles at American troop installations in the Middle East. But it seems to me more likely that they would opt for something that is at least a little bit asymmetrical. The Strait of Hormuz, as you mentioned, has about 1/5 of all the global oil trade goes through there. That would have, obviously, as you say, the capacity to hurt Americans and hurt the global economy, actually, because it would spike the price of oil. The other thing about the DHS warning is, while on one hand I'm kind of hesitant about any kind of scaremongering, I do think that there is, from the Iranian government's perspective, maybe more motivation to have something that isn't a direct military action by them. It's either by a proxy group or by some sort of shadowy individual where Tehran could say, it had nothing to do with us, it wasn't our army firing our missiles at you. And then you're into a more complicated situation.
Sure. I mean, their proxy groups are already engaged in some misdeeds in the Middle East and in Africa, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, etc. So that would be nothing new there, but they could step up their activity, of course.
And direct it more against Americans also.
Well, true, and we do have to always keep in mind that, technically speaking, have not, Bolton, who is not a figure either of us like very much, but he shouldn't be killed for his views. They have targeted him as a potential assassination figure, Mike Pompeo. And then in the Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz interview that we discussed at great length last week, Ted Cruz repeatedly said that he has seen indication that Iran would have an assassination plan against Donald Trump. That would be a very, very dramatic escalation, obviously, of the war if there was to be an attempt on the president's life. I do hope they take his security and the security of the officials very seriously. Given the things we've seen, I think that would be very reasonable to do.
No, for sure. And just one point, we were talking earlier about the idea of regime change. It is notable to me that Israel is now striking more targets in Iran, apparently struck at a prison in Tehran, a number of other spots. And to me, this is just, one of the worrisome things about this is, I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu is solely concerned with Iran's nuclear program. I think he has much more expansive goals. Now, because the US has now bombed Iran, it has put itself into alignment with him. That could, I think, have a momentum of its own, which I think would be A, just morally wrong, but B, very dangerous for the United States, because you don't want him being the tail wagging the dog.
And I just don't think we don't want to turn Iran into a failed state.
Right.
We don't want to make it more of a haven for terrorism. I know, and they'll say, well, they're already a supporter of terrorism, terrorist acts committed against the U.S. Yes, I get all that. I am not overly have fond feelings for Iran's theocratic regime. Iran was a wonderful, developing, advanced country that was then taken over by this Muslim theocracy. That's very bad, but again, it can be so much worse. And our experience in the Middle East has been that it can be so much worse, which is why we have to do this carefully, and at the very least, vote on it.
Right.
Vote on it.
and just briefly, I was making the point last night on our sister network, News Nation. There has already been, back in the 1950s, regime change in Iran. Mohammad Mossadegh was a fairly progressive prime minister. He was ousted by the CIA. That strengthened the hold of the Shah, who was a pretty corrupt and autocratic person, which then in turn fed unrest, which led to the Islamic Revolution, and here we are. So I think there's lots of reasons to be wary of that kind of hubris.
Well, third time's the charm. Why are Democrats split on impeaching President Trump yet again? We'll discuss.